Merry NFL Eve. I almost said Christmas right there. Tomorrow we kick off the NFL season between the Dallas Cowboys and the defending, reigning, undisputed Super Bowl champions of the world, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. My name is Hassan Khan. We appreciate you guys joining us on this episode of Time2Football. Just so you guys know, this is a weekly Monday through Friday morning show that we do 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you guys are just popping in for the very first time, I appreciate you guys joining us. Actually, you guys can be interacting with us in the chat right now. I got this pulled up, and Alec Roca, let's go, boy, let's go! Because on today's episode, we've got a pretty awesome episode planned for you guys. We're going to be talking about power rankings. Power. Have you guys seen that? Do you guys know what that is? I actually have to pull this up if you guys have never seen this before. But it is Jeremy Fragrance. He is the first influencer for perfume. He's got like 3 million followers on TikTok. I'm actually going to pull this up because it is freaking hilarious. Power. All right. How do I do this? All right. There we go. Let me put myself in the corner right there.
Power, baby!
Woo!
Man, that's beastly.
What the heck? And that's it. That's literally it. But hey, well, power. That's what we're talking about. Power rankings. 1 through 32. Who are the best teams in the NFL? And we're going to cover that here today. We're also going to be talking about 3 NFL teams that could be going from the worst teams in the NFL to maybe potentially making a playoff push in the 2021 season. So a lot to cover here on today's episode. Big Dog Pound 1 says Jeremy Fragrance is awesome. I concur. He is the man. But before we get into everything, you guys can go ahead and continue to leave your fantasy football questions, any questions that you guys have, because throughout the show, I'm going to be answering those questions. I'm going to actually dedicate a whole segment, a few minutes, towards the end of the show, and I'm going to be answering those fan questions for you guys. But before we get into our power rankings, what we do every week on this show, or every day on the show, is we cover our NFL news and notes that's been going around the league as of last night and this morning as well. So let me see if I can pull this up so you guys have a little topic bar so you guys can see what is coming ahead on this show. But NFL news and notes, I think the biggest thing that's been happening in the last 24 hours or so is that Le'Veon Bell is now officially a Baltimore Raven. He has been signed to the practice squad to take over for that number 3 potentially role with Justice Hill suffering a torn Achilles. Practice squad for now, but I mean, don't be surprised if it gets activated onto the active man roster pretty soon. I don't know if they just added him to the practice squad for the time being because they need to realize, okay, who do we need to release to make some room? So I fully expect Gus Edwards, Tyson Williams to be the 1-2 punch, and Le'Veon Bell, if one of them were to get hurt, maybe, he could come in and get, I don't know. I think 50% of the carries is a little bit of a reach for Le'Veon Bell this late in his career, but Baltimore Ravens signed him. But speaking of a running back that's unfortunately got released, Latavius Murray of the New Orleans Saints is now officially a free agent because he refused to take a pay cut with the New Orleans Saints. So he was on the roster bubble, if you've been following the offseason news, with Tony Jones Jr. really stepping up and taking that role as the number 2 back behind Alvin Kamara. Latavius Murray, he just kind of fell down on the depth chart, and now he realizes, okay, well, my worth is, I'm better than this. I don't need to take a pay cut. So, I mean, if that's the case, then Latavius Murray is going to find a new team in 2021. Some injury news that we've got for you. Chris Godwin, he has been suffering through a hurt quad. He's on the injury report, which is a little bit of a surprise. He was a limited participant in practice yesterday. So let's see ahead of Thursday's game, will he be a full go against the Dallas Cowboys and what we expect to be a high shootout game. Danny Amendola, a wide receiver, signs 1 year, $2.5 million deal with the Houston Texans after having a great career with the New England Patriots. Had a couple of stints here and there with the Miami Dolphins and Detroit Lions last year. and now he's going to find himself with the Houston Texans, probably taking over in that role as the slot receiver. I would assume Brandon Cooks on the outside. Anthony Miller could be coming back in that slot role as well, but um, you know, they've got a decent crew there. The Houston Texans. They got Brandon Cooks, Nico Collins, Danny Amendola, Anthony Miller. Not the best crew, but I mean, maybe you can make something work. Amendola, Houston Texan. Former Houston Texan Dwayne Brown has ended his hold out, whatever you want to call it. Pete Carroll said that he was going to be playing yesterday, and now he reworks a contract. So the game bonuses that he had are now converted to guarantees, and he has an injury protection benefit in his contract as well. So he got what he wanted, and now prior to the season, to protect Russell Wilson, he's going to be playing in that left tackle, right tackle, maybe even a guard role. Tom Brady, this is I thought was pretty funny. He still hates that number rule. The number change that they did where now players can wear, you see a linebacker wearing like number 11, like Micah Parsons. Cornerbacks could be wearing single digit numbers as well. He just said that it's hard to game plan, and that's a challenge for the offense, which makes it easier for the defense, obviously. But still hates the number change rule. That's what he said. Hunter Henry, he's working through a shoulder injury, but he is expected to play this Sunday against the Miami Dolphins. So it'd be a 1-2 punch with Jonnu Smith. DeAndre Swift is also expected to play. He's been working through some conditioning issues and the groin injury as well. Dan Campbell says that he's going to be good to go now against the San Francisco 49ers, which is a tough defense. But also on top of that, how many snaps is he going to get? Because we already know that, okay, even if Swift was healthy, Jamal Williams was going to get a sizable chunk of the carries, probably a third of DeAndre Swift's potential carries. Jamal Williams is going to eat that up. And then you factor in this groin injury. Is Jamal Williams going to be the starter for the Detroit Lions? That's something to keep an eye on. And then last, Noah Fant is expected to play. He's been dealing with a leg injury, but he is a full go, and he's good to go against the New York Giants. And that is your news and notes around the NFL for this week. You guys are doing a great job of continuing to fill in and commenting. Oh, Alec, you commented back. Thoughts about A.J. Brown this year? Much respect, brother. Brazil. Hey, we like the audience from Brazil coming in. Listen, A.J. Brown, I think he's going to be the go-to guy. I know a lot of people say, oh, with Julio there, he's going to suffer. But I don't think they're really going to use Julio that much that we expect. I don't think he's going to be an every down wide receiver. I think he's still going to get over 1,000 yards, maybe get like 5-6 touchdowns or so. But with Derrick Henry there, A.J. Brown is the number one guy. I don't think his production is really going to suffer that much from it. I'll go ahead and answer one more before I move on to our power rankings. What are your thoughts on starting Russell Gage? This is from Alex Rossi. I mean, it's a deep start. I want to see how that offense operates first with Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley now, and this offensive line that they needed to fix for so long, but have failed to do so. I think that Russell Gage would be a little bit of a stretch, maybe in like a 14-team league. You could start him as a flex player, but 12-team, yeah, flex, I would be okay with it, but I don't know. I would look for other options at that point. So what we're going to do now is continue to fill in your questions. I'm going to answer those throughout the show. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys our power rankings. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just go 8 at a time, starting from number 32 at the very bottom of the list to number 25. So let's go ahead and just show 25 through 32 and talk about that real quick. If I can get this to show up. Where are we at? Here we are. All right. So now we've got 25 through 32 popping up on the screen right here. You got the Atlanta Falcons at number 25, the New York Giants 26, Panthers 27, Jets 28, 29, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Bengals at number 30, and then 31 and 32, the two worst teams, as we expected in the NFL, to be the Detroit Lions and the Houston Texans. I know there's a lot of teams on here that could have a kind of like a breakout season and kind of work their way up the rankings chart and to be in maybe the top 16 as well. So we're going to get into those teams that could make that playoff push later on in the show. But just to kind of show you guys, this is our 25 through 32 list: Falcons, Giants, Panthers, Jets, Jaguars, Bengals, Lions, Texans. I mean, throughout the duration of the show, if you guys feel like that any of these should be switched around or anything of that nature, feel free to go ahead and comment and let us know your thoughts on that. But I mean, I would say it's pretty accurate. I mean, the Bengals are one of those teams that, yeah, maybe I would want to rank them higher personally, but just the way the offensive line has been looking, I don't know. I can't really trust the Bengals at this point. Let's go ahead and move on to 17 through 34. What do we got? Or 24. What do we have here? We've got the Dallas Cowboys at 17, the Cardinals at 18, Vikings at 19, Washington at 20, Bears 21, Broncos 22, the Raiders 23, and the Eagles at 24. I know the NFC East is kind of lacking in that department because, excuse me, the NFC East is lacking in that department because 17 is the highest rank for the NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys. That could change with the Dallas Cowboys now having Dak Prescott back, and this offense is expected to be really good this year. But, I mean, Washington, they made the playoffs last year. That defense is good, but the offense still needs a little bit of work. And then, I mean, I feel like every other team on this list is kind of deserving of being 17 or lower. The Arizona Cardinals might be that team that could move up a few spots towards season end, but as of right now, they rank at number 18. What are your thoughts on that ranking right there between 17 through 24? Now let's move on real quick to 9 through 16. We're going 8 at a time. So we're moving up. And now this is where we get into the territory like, okay, these are some teams that have a legitimate shot at making the playoffs in 2021. So who are those teams? We've got the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 9, the Tennessee Titans at number 10, the Chargers at 11, Patriots at 12, 13 Colts, Saints 14, 15 the 49ers, and number 16, the Miami Dolphins. Might be a little bit surprising there because the Patriots, a lot of people are expected to make a wild card push this year, being ranked at number 12 on our power rankings. I think it's really a lot to do with Mac Jones now being in town and being the starting quarterback, and the offseason that they had and the draft that they had really adding on to their defense as well. So that's why I have them ranked at number 12. The 49ers, a lot of people had them inside of the top 10 because they're still right in the coattails of that season that they had when they went to the Super Bowl. Suffered some injuries, yes, so we still have them inside of the top 15, but they're still going to have to work their way up and prove themselves. Saints falling a little bit, but that's okay. That's okay. They can work themselves up back into the top 8. But let's go ahead and read off the final 8 here in just a sec. We got a comment from Sarcatist. Colts could do okay, but who knows where their offense is right now. That's actually something I wanted to talk about. So a lot of people are expecting the Colts offense not to do well this year. I don't know. I think the Colts offense is going to be pretty decent. The major loss that they had was pretty much Phillip Rivers, and you replaced him with Carson Wentz, which I don't think, if Carson Wentz is a downgrade in your eyes from Phillip Rivers, I don't think it's that much of a downgrade. I really don't. So why are we expecting the Colts not really to make that push for the playoffs? I mean, they made the playoffs last season. Why do we expect the offense to be outside of the top 20, outside of the top 15? I think they could be inside of the top 15 with Frank Reich, with Carson Wentz rejoining him, and could potentially get back to his MVP form for back in the day. All right, top 8. Here we go. Let's read it from number 8 to number 1. What do we got? All right, we've got the Cleveland Browns at number 8, the Seattle Seahawks at number 7, the Rams at number 6, the Ravens at number 5, the Packers at 4, the Bills at 3, the Chiefs at 2, and the defending Super Bowl champions, Buccaneers, at 1. I mean, it just makes sense. You have to go with the top 2 that made the Super Bowl as 1 and 2, right? So the Buffalo Bills and the Packers, they made the AFC Championship and NFC Championship game, so you had to put them inside of the top 4. And then outside of that, you know, I feel like these are the 4 strongest teams, 5 through 8, that could potentially get to that spot where they could play in the championship game. The Ravens, the Rams, the Seahawks, the Browns, all of them, they have that shot. The Browns defense especially has been really stepping up and could make that push as well. The Rams signing Matthew Stafford, getting us out of the top 6. and people just continuously sleep on the Baltimore Ravens. We know how good of a team they are, but still, it just seems like that everybody sleeps on the Baltimore Ravens at that point. So those are our power rankings at that point. 1 through 8, 9 through 16, 17 through 24, 25 to 32. If there's anything that you guys disagree with, please leave a comment down below. Let us know. This is just week 1. This is all speculation. So this is going to get all jumbled up throughout the season. And by the time we're talking about in week 18, by the time the Super Bowl comes around, who knows? Maybe the Houston Texans could be the number 1 team in the NFL. Oh my gosh, it's a mess over there. But yeah, leave your comments and let us know your thoughts on the power rankings. For you guys that are chatting in the chat right now, Booker Dog says he's commenting on the power rankings. Actually, as a matter of fact, Colts have some underlying injuries. Yeah, Eric Fisher is going to miss some time, and yeah, Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson as well. They've been dealing with some injuries. And then you also said Washington will perform better if Fitz, obviously, the defense and improved skill sets, making for a surprising season. Yeah, Fitzpatrick is an upgrade at quarterback for sure. So they could move on up from the maybe 20 spot to the top 15 essentially if they wanted to. So yeah, our power rankings right there. Leave your thoughts. Let us know your opinions on all of that. Now we're going to move on to 3 teams we feel like that could make a push for the postseason. So you just saw our power rankings. You saw which teams were ranked in the bottom 8, which teams we aren't really that high on going into week 1. But I want to talk about 3 teams that could have a turnaround season and make that push for the playoffs. So when I talk about turnaround season, I'm not talking about teams like the Minnesota Vikings. They went 7-9 last year. I'm not talking about the Chicago Bears. They already made the playoffs, even though their talent may not all be there. I'm talking about teams that absolutely suck in a lot of people's eyes. Which of those teams, the bottom 8, the last quarter of the NFL, could make that run for the postseason? I'm going to start off with team number 1. This is the Atlanta Falcons. Bad teams that could turn around and make a playoff push. Listen, the Falcons, let's talk about the good, the bad, and what they could change with each of these teams. The good for the Atlanta Falcons, they have a high-powered offense. We already know that, okay? We know that they have a high-powered offense. Now, the bad behind it is they lost Julio Jones, so it takes a little bit of that high-powered offense away. They found some replacements in Kyle Pitts, so maybe he can kind of cancel them out. But also another bad is the offensive line and the defense for so many years. Since I'm going to say the Mike Smith days of the Atlanta Falcons, they've been needing a defense and an offensive line. We're already talking about, a lot of you guys don't live in Atlanta, but for you guys that do, the community around here says that, oh man, the Falcons, we just need to get rid of Matt Ryan. Now, these are a bunch of casuals. I'll go ahead and say that. But they say, yeah, get rid of Matt Ryan because if a team isn't doing good, it's a quarterback's problem. No, I mean, could they have drafted like maybe Justin Fields to prepare for the future? Yeah, obviously. Then in that case, you could prepare for the future and get rid of Matt Ryan. But it's really, when you boil it down, Arthur Smith, what he needs is an offensive line. They have some first-round talent there, so things that could change based off of what is the good, which is the high-scoring offense, and what is the bad, which is the O-line and the defense, what could change and could make them a playoff contender, or at least make them close to making a push, maybe getting them from a 4-12 season to a 7-10, maybe an 8-9, 9-8 season as well, is that offensive line. They have a lot of first-round talent on that line. Even Jalen Mayfield, who fell to them in the 3rd round, a lot of people thought that he could have been a first-round pick at that point. They have a lot of first-round talent on that offensive line. So if they could just get that offensive line together, in the defense, you drafted Richie Grant in the 2nd round when you could have drafted Javonte Williams. Hey, let's see if Richie Grant will work out for the Atlanta Falcons defense and help turn this defense around. So my team number 1 that could make a turnaround, that's pretty bad right now, and could make a playoff push, the Atlanta Falcons. I strongly believe it. Make it happen. All right, team number 2, staying in the same division, we've got the Carolina Panthers. Could make a push. They already have the top running back in the NFL, a lot of people would say. One of the top running backs, Christian McCaffrey. Their offense is loaded. So we're talking about the good, the bad, and what they could change. The good, their offense. The weapons already there. Two great receivers, an up-and-coming receiver, if you haven't been watching preseason, is Terrence Marshall. That guy is going to ball out, whether it be this season or in his career. Terrence Marshall is really freaking good. So they have the offensive talent. Now you have a quarterback. In my mind, is he better than Teddy Bridgewater? Is he an improvement? It's 50-50. It's debatable. Can he push the ball down the field better than Teddy Bridgewater? Without question, I feel like he can. I don't know if he's going to be as careful, Sam Darnold is, as Teddy Bridgewater. Might be a little bit more turnovers, but they got some quarterbacks there that can really work well with that offensive talent. The bad now is, let's talk about the quarterback, Sam Darnold. This is the only thing that's really holding back this Carolina Panthers offense. I mean, a lot of people would say this is comparable to what the Miami Dolphins offense has been for the last couple of years, where they had the weapons back in 2019, 2018, where they had Devontae Parker, Kenny Stills, Mike Gesicki, Kenyon Drake, but things just didn't work out because of back then people were saying the quarterback Ryan Tannehill, when really it was Adam Gase's fault. But you're just a quarterback away from having a really good offense. The Patriots realized that with Mac Jones. That's why they moved on from Cam Newton. And now the Carolina Panthers, are they a quarterback away from having a good offense? Sam Darnold could be that guy that could step up and be that quarterback of the future for the Carolina Panthers. So I put him in the bad category because we still don't know how he's going to perform. But what could change and what could make them a playoff contender is if Sam Darnold were to ball out, were to do well this season. And this defense, really, Matt Rule has been spending the last couple of seasons honing in on that defense. I think the draft they had in 2019 was all defense focused. They got Derek Brown on defense, Brian Burns. This is over the last couple of years. They've also drafted Jeremy Chin as well. So if you get that young defensive talent together, the Carolina Panthers defense could be one that we could be talking about as one of the best in the NFL. So making a playoff push, bad team. Number 2, the Carolina Panthers. Bad team number 3. This is a little bit of a stretch because on our power rankings, they're ranked at number 29. But I'm going to go ahead and say the Jacksonville Jaguars, question mark? Just based off of the draft that they had. So let's talk about the good, the bad, what they could change. The good, the draft. They had 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, I believe. They had a third-round pick. I think they had 2 fourth-round picks as well. They were loaded in draft capital. And a lot of that had come from the Jalen Ramsey trade that they made. But 2 first-round picks was definitely worth it with Trevor Lawrence, your quarterback of the future. Travis Etienne, not this year, but maybe in years to come, he's going to be your running back of the future as well. So their draft alone was well worth it. They also drafted Tyson Campbell out of Georgia as their defensive back. Walker Little gets some offensive line for Trevor Lawrence. And Andre Sisco, some more defensive back help as well. They signed some key free agents on that secondary as well, and Shaquille Griffin this past offseason. So their defense could really step up, and this draft that they had could really be a difference maker. Now, the bad that they have is I'm going to stick in with the defense because it just hasn't been good since Jalen Ramsey left. Even when Jalen Ramsey was there, still had its ups and downs as well. Not really comparable to 2017. They haven't really gotten back to that form. And also another bad could be Urban Meyer. We don't know what kind of head coach he is in the NFL. Maybe it worked out for him in college, but in the NFL, I don't know. We're just going to have to see. But what could change and what could make this team a playoff contender is if they get that defense to turn around, if Urban Meyer ends up being a really good coach with Trevor Lawrence in the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm also going to say if Laviska Shenault were to break out with the team and be that number 1 wideout for Trevor Lawrence, because he's been talked about in training camp being the best player in OTAs, and it's not even close. So let's see if that comes into fruition. Can the Jacksonville Jaguars be a bad team that makes a playoff push? So to recap, we've got the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Jaguars. 3 teams that are bad right now. By season's end, could we be talking about them making a playoff push? Leave your comments in the chat down below. All right. Now, this is the favorite part of everyone's show. We're going to be talking about some fan questions that you guys have in fantasy football. I've been doing my absolute best to try to respond to you guys on YouTube. I haven't had a chance to respond on the Discord just yet. I'm going I probably don't have the link in the description right now, but after this chat is over, this live is over, I'm going to go ahead and include the link to this Discord in our description, and then we'll just go from there. But fan questions. So you guys have been talking about teams that could be improving. Booger Dog, you continue to talk about Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh no, Kyle Pitts. If Kyle Pitts is used to advantage and Mike Davis can deliver as their RB1, the Falcons will be in running late in games, but division is tough. I agree. Darnold finally has assets around him, a very tough overall improved division. They will be in late in games versus teams they play. Could happen. Could very well happen. But let's go ahead and answer some fantasy football questions. Let me scroll up. Let's see what we got here. Big Dog Pound, since you mentioned Jeremy Fragrance, power! Let's talk about, let's answer your question. Who would you start, Tom Brady or Ryan Tannehill? I got both of them as must-starts this week. Oh, man, I like Ryan Tannehill and his rushing ability, even though it's not really as high of a rushing ability. Potential is still there, and what could be a shootout with Kyler Murray. Tom Brady, there's a lot of mouths to feed. Who knows? Maybe the Cowboys' run defense might be the weakness, and they just decide to turn the game script around and run it with Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, Giovanni Bernard. I'm going to say you can't go wrong with either one, but I'm going to lean towards Ryan Tannehill. But hey, it's 50-50. So if it's a difference between 18 fantasy points, 19 fantasy points, 20 fantasy, it's so close. So my gut feeling is telling me Ryan Tannehill against Kyler Murray and what could be a shootout. I don't think they're going to include Derrick Henry in the game plan, yes, but you're going to have to compete with Kyler Murray. Now, Dak Prescott, yeah, Tom Brady has to compete with him as well, but like I said, I don't know. I think the way the Bucks offense operates, I just don't have that high of a feeling on Tom Brady compared to Ryan Tannehill. That's just my opinion, but definitely, if I'm wrong, leave your guys' thoughts and opinions on that. DC Chillin, pick a flex, full PPR, AB, Gus Edwards, or Robbie Anderson. Full PPR, ooh. I'm still going to go with Gus the Bus, even though he doesn't really get incorporated in the passing game as well. With Antonio Brown, there's just a lot of mouths to feed, especially with Giovanni Bernard now there being that check down for Tom Brady. You've also got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. If Chris Godwin can't go because of his quad, then yeah, start Antonio Brown. But I'm going to lean in on Gus Edwards because this team against the Raiders is going to eat the Baltimore Ravens. Their defense is going to tear up that offensive line. They lost so many offensive linemen this offseason. And Derek Carr and the Raiders are going to have to play from behind while the Baltimore Ravens are going to have a comfortable lead, meaning that they're going to run with the ball much more than what is incorporated in their game plan. So Gus Edwards, I like him against Las Vegas. Let's see. What else do we got here? And Savvy, you've been joining us for the last couple of days. Flex, AB or Mike Davis PPR? I actually have Mike Davis as a must sit. So if I had to pick, especially in a PPR, it would be Antonio Brown. Now, here's why Mike Davis is a must sit for me this week. The running backs coach of the Atlanta Falcons came out and said the door is wide open for any Falcons running back to come and take over. Now, people are thinking, oh, well, that's Mike Davis because Mike Davis is obviously the best player on that team as far as the running back position goes. So he's going to go ahead and take the role as RB1. Yes, more than likely that's going to happen. But what could also happen is since the door is wide open, that means that the Falcons are going to give many more opportunities to more running backs in that offense to excel. So what's to think that Mike Davis is going to get all the 3-down work when you could factor in a lot of other running backs as well, such as Wayne Gallman, who signed recently about a couple of weeks ago. Cordero Patterson in that special role as well could be getting some carries. So I don't know. I have Mike Davis as a must set. So if I were you, I would start Antonio Brown personally. Thought I clicked on the wrong video. What up, J Frag? New Era TB. Yes, sir. Forget what you heard. Just commented. Corey Davis versus Carolina or DeAndre Swift versus San Francisco half PPR. I am going to stay away from DeAndre Swift this week. I am not confident in him getting the full workload. And I am especially, well, I'm going to say that again. I am not confident in him getting the majority of the workload, and I'm especially not confident that he's going to get a 3-down workhorse role this week against a tough San Francisco 49ers defense. So they might be playing from behind. They might be dumping it off to DeAndre Swift, which could lead to PPR points, yes. But Corey Davis is a must start for me this week because he's been developing a chemistry with Zach Wilson this offseason. I expect this game to be a little bit more of a high-scoring game between the Jets and the Panthers. We know about Sam Darnold, Robbie Anderson wanting their revenge. Zach Wilson, Corey Davis could be the 1-2 punch as well for the Jets offense. What else do we've got? Keep on continuing to leave your questions. I'll answer a couple more here. Tar, T-A-U-R, just commented, Randall Cobb or Emmanuel Sanders better production this season? Emmanuel Sanders. Dude, if I had the bench room to pick up Emmanuel Sanders, best kept secret right now on the waiver wire. I would say Emmanuel Sanders and Gerald Everett and Rodrigo Blankenship as well, 3 of the best kept secrets on the waiver wire right now. Because Emmanuel Sanders in offseason has been said that he's going to play that same John Brown type of role. People are talking about Gabriel Davis. Let me draft Gabriel Davis, but it's actually going to be Emmanuel Sanders as the number 2 wide receiver besides Stephon Diggs. So, I mean, he's going to get a majority of the targets. So I like Emmanuel Sanders over Randall Cobb this season. And I talked about in the start and sit video, or was it the add and drop? Add and drop video about Randall Cobb. When are you ever going to start Randall Cobb in fantasy football? He's not going to be the number 2 wide receiver behind Davante Adams. He's not. It's Davante Adams, Aaron Jones, Robert Tonyan, the top 3 targets. That's just how it is. Incorporate A.J. Dillon in there as well. And then after that, you've got a cluster, almost to the F word. You've got a cluster F of wide receivers competing behind Davante Adams. It's going to be Lazard, Valdez-Scantling, Amari Rodgers even, who the Packers have come out and said per report that Rodgers is going to get a sizable role this year. So why would Randall Cobb be factored into fantasy relevancy when you have all those players? He's not even in the top 3 in targets expected this season. So just drop him. Drop Randall Cobb. If someone else wants to deal with the headache of Randall Cobb, go ahead and pick him up. But when are you ever going to pick up Randall Cobb and play him in fantasy football? Unless some crazy injury scenario were to happen, never. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it off right here because we were already met the 30-minute time limit. So we want to appreciate you guys for joining in for this live stream. Again, continue to ask your fantasy football questions, whether it be on this episode, on this video later on in the comments, or if you want to go ahead and ask those questions in the starts and sits video. I'm going to go ahead and leave a link to the Discord chat after this live stream ends so you guys can join that. You guys have been asking your fantasy football questions in there, so appreciate you doing that. We all need fantasy football advice, second opinions. Go ahead and ask your questions. With all that said, thank you guys for joining in for this live stream, and remember, power!